my name is Jordan Officer. I'm going to be talking about Lonnie Johnson, and in particular a really cool trick that I learned from him. Lonnie Johnson is one of my favorite musicians, an incredible guitar player, singer, blues guitar player and singer, also blues violin player. I play violin, I play a lot of blues violins, so guys like Lonnie Johnson, Clarence Gatemouth Brown, another beautiful guitar player, but also a great violinist. So I'm always intrigued and inspired to hear other people play blues on the violin. But Lonnie Johnson is especially known as a guitar player. He recorded in the 20s, so there's like really early, very country blues recordings by Lonnie Johnson. He evolved through the years. He always had his own unique style, but you know, he played electric, he played with bands, he sang, he's an incredible singer. Also, there's something very jazzy about his playing. There's a lot of influences, not just blues. He sings standards, he sings like little pop songs, and he's found his way into my playing over the years. There's no doubt about it. One of the things I often think about with Lonnie Johnson is playing in D, like playing open D in blues. And how he bends that note. Just the sound of open D in blues always makes me think of Lonnie Johnson. But there's one particular trick that he plays on an instrumental called Handful of Riffs. But it's a trick that he plays. I hear him on different recordings all throughout his career. Once in a while he'll pull it out, and it really spoke to me, and I've ended up borrowing it and using it quite a bit. Is where he plays a note and then slides down a half step, just down a fret, and then back. Which is not that complicated. That's all there is to it. So you hit a note, slide down and back. Now we talked about our major triad arpeggio and our half-step approach. Well, basically this is taking the note from the major triad arpeggio and sliding down and back up, and sliding back up, you're doing that half-step approach. And the way Lonnie Johnson uses it is he'll take a little melody like something like that, which would be like a bass line, you know. And so it's like, it's a 6 chord. So here we're in D, so D, F sharp, A, B, and then D. So it's a D6 arpeggio. And each note, we'll hit the note and then do that thing where we slide down a half step and then back. So let's play that a little faster. And then you go back down. Yeah, I like it. You could do it in any register, obviously, as long as you're in a closed position. You need to be able to slide down and back. Yeah, over any chord. And what's cool is the way he does it, well, actually, he does it the way I said, where the main notes would be the quarter notes. So instead of just playing that, you do that, but adding the down and back makes it triplets. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then sometimes he does. He adds a little hesitation, little space between the slide, the triplets. What I've ended up doing is on a fast tune, instead of making the main notes be the quarter notes and then adding the extra notes with making it triplets, I make the main notes dotted quarter notes. So if we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, let's do it with the metronome so that we can really hear what we're doing. I'm at 168. Let's give that a try. A 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just playing dotted quarter notes, which are fun to play anyway because they fall sometimes on the beat, sometimes off the beat. So anything built off quarter note, dotted quarter notes is fun to play with just rhythmically. But now, that being our main note, we're going to do the Lonnie Johnson trick. But the extra notes where we slide down and back, they're going to be regular eighth notes rather than being eighth note triplets. So let's give that a try. 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you're doing that, the little thing that you have to think about, or that I have to think about when I'm doing it, is the fact that with those dotted quarter notes being the main notes, sometimes if you're changing chords in the middle of that, your dotted quarter note might land on the beat, might land just before your next chord change, it might land just after your next chord change. So sometimes you have to hit the note reflecting the next change a little early, or do a little delayed anticipate the resolution or delayed resolution, because your main note might not land right where your chord's changing. But that's part of the fun of it, and it's really fun sounding like. There's one solo that I really like playing that in. It's on Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys instrumental called Playboy Chimes. Not always, but I often end up going into that little fun trick. Another one is on my first instrumental album on Beaumont. I pulled it out. It's always challenging because there's a sort of an endurance aspect to it. You have to keep it going. You have to also take into account the chord changes, like I said. And it's kind of flashy. I like flashy stuff. And yeah, so that's a fun guitar trick that I learned from Lonnie Johnson. There's one other thing from Lonnie Johnson that I borrowed once. There's some recordings of his, sort of later recordings of his. I think he's playing electric, and there's songs that he sings, and on like just about every song from those sessions, or that's the way I remember it, he does the same intro, and it's like a regular turnaround with just a little bit of a twist. Not a big deal, but just a tiny little variation on what would be the most typical turnaround, which is 1-6-2-5. So that's a regular 1-6-2-5. So now I'm in C. So C, A minor, D minor, G7. Really, really basic, typical turnaround. And he'll play the turnaround twice, but the second time, just a little variation. So he'll do this. So instead of doing the 1-6-2-5 turnaround the second time, he just goes the one chord, and then a little 6 down to 5. So he's bypassing the 2, he's just kind of going 6. And and then chromatically down to the 5. I've never heard anyone else do it, and there's something really sweet and simple about it. And just like that guitar trick with the sliding down and back, it's super effective, simple things, very guitaristic too. That or this. They're really guitaristic, simple, basic things, but that are extremely effective, that are really pretty and expressive. And Lonnie Johnson's playing is just full of stuff like that, just really simple, beautiful stuff. That intro, I played it on a song that I recorded with Susie Arioli called That's For Me, which is a really, really beautiful, lesser known jazz standard that we learned from a Louis Armstrong record. And yeah. I saw you standing in the sun, and you were something to see. Beautiful song. And yeah, just the simplicity and sweetness of that little Lonnie Johnson intro seemed like the right kind of simplicity and sweetness for such a beautiful, sweet standard. So I was happy to be able to pull that out and pay a little tribute to Lonnie Johnson. Hi, my name is Jordan Officer. Over the next weeks and months, I'm going to be getting back to the basics, trying out some new ideas for improvising, technique, maybe some gear, get together with some of my favorite guitar players, talk about some of my favorite guitar players. So share, subscribe, stay tuned, send me your feedback, and we'll see you soon.